You're listening to a main feed episode. Go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers where €5 a month gets you weekly full-length episodes, stray bonus content and access to the back catalogue. Also helps cover hosting and gives us money for sweeties. Thank you. Celtic Ligers.
Recorded 6th of November 2023.
Yeah, it's always disappointing when you see podcasters, when you see photos of podcasters.
Oh my god, yeah. Michael Hale was a real, are you about to say the Kickstarter guys as well?
That was crazy.
Oh brother,
I wish I could find that photo again. And it's like Michael Hale and the Doughboys.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
That should be the episode art.
Yeah.
It's just shocking. Also, the other issue is that because so many podcasts are American, you see them, and they're always like inside, just in their socks.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of that.
There was a good one I saw. I mean, this is so lame, but I get like sometimes I'm like, oh, that's so cool. But they got this like nice little black and white intimate photo of your Kickstarter sucks guys, and like Jesse Farrar sitting cross-legged on a chair, and Michael Hale's at like a laptop, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But you could tell like by them, like that wasn't by choice. They would never have sat for that photo, and they would be like mortified that somebody would be like, what's that guy, Alex Bloomberg, I think his name is, or something. The guy who did. Do you remember that Zach Braff sitcom that had like one season called like Alex Incorporated?
Oh, what about the podcaster?
Yeah. Where like, but podcasts, we can tell all sorts of stories, and like they'll be the ones to take those kind of intimate photos to. And I imagine like your Kickstarter sucks guys were like, oh, like don't take that down, Like there's photos floating around of Mike Hale when he's a teenager, and he's like, he was saying like how like absolutely like mortified he was that he existed online, so that there could be a document of him as a teenager. And I was like, oh, that's cute. And then I looked him up and I was like, oh no, he's correct. He's right to be upset about that because they look so bad.
What would I look up? Mike Hale.
Let me try and find it.
Mike Hale, teenager.
Look up young, Mike Hale young.
Nubile, Mike Hale.
And it's him, and he's covered in acne as well.
Oh no.
Yeah.
He's such an unfortunate guy. Just in the way he is.
Even in his life, it's like so funny to me. Like, because I got the Patreon, and so I was like listening back to it, and his life was just getting like when he started off the podcast, he was like married and he had a job in a tech company or something like that.
Yeah,
and then slowly but surely, like I was listening to it in reverse, and I was tempted to like message the show and be like, Mike's life is getting better the more I listen back to the podcast, because like this is the order of events chronologically. Now I'm not going to do it the way that I experienced it, but he was like married, has a kid.
Do people know what show we're talking about?
Sorry, your Kickstarter sucks. Michael Hale at Dog Boner, although I don't think he's really online anymore on Twitter. And he mainly just posts pictures of old guys in the nip now, so it's not really like. Mike Hale is like he's married. He's got a kid. He's got like a pig called Pickles that he used to bring up. I
forgot about the pig. Yeah. What happened to the pig?
I know. I'm
always
wondering
probably
what
died.
happened to it. Yeah, or like his wife has it. That's the way I took it. His ex-wife.
His wife took the pig.
I don't know. I'm thinking. I'm not sure. But anyway, he like ended up moving out of the house with his wife, and he moved into this place where it's like his neighbors were just like. He just hated his neighbors. And then what happens is a tornado came and destroyed his house. Oh, yeah. And then this was after he was fired from his job, okay? Like the company that he was working for, like, dissolved or something.
Yeah.
And then a tornado destroyed his house. and he was living with Jesse for a while. And there's this amazing episode, like, where you could just hear him breaking down. He's like laughing and he's like, I want to die. And then Jesse's like, yeah. You could just tell it's very real.
There were like a few episodes where he's basically mute. Like,
yeah,
it's just Jesse talking.
Yeah.
And then every time he's like, what do you think? And Mike would be like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But like,
because that was during COVID as well. I should say his house was destroyed in a tornado during COVID. Okay,
and then like Jesse, his life just seems to have gotten better. Because like if you listen to the early episodes, it's just them getting pissed the whole time.
Yeah,
like they get so drunk.
Yeah,
and then Jesse gives up drink.
Yeah,
and he just gets healthier and healthier, and like he's kids and a wife, and like he doesn't have to work. He just lives off. He has like a stream as well.
Yeah, the Go Off Kings.
Yeah, and he like gave up trying to be a writer, which seemed to be a very good move for him.
Honestly, it's funny when you go, I'm actually going to give up writing and devote myself full time to Twitch streaming and podcasting, and it's like that was actually a positive move, you know.
I know. I've often tempted to read his book.
It's like sports writing, though, isn't it?
Is it? It's called like Tips from the Old Coach or something.
Well, because he used to be like a sports writer about basketball and stuff like that. So,
oh, did he?
So I wasn't really that pushed about it.
I always found it interesting that he gave up drinking. I don't know why.
Yeah. Did you ever see, the famous, well, when I say famous, it's famous if you're like into this niche podcasting culture. But when he did, he got, fucking hell, what am I forgetting here? Oh yeah, the picture of him 2 drinks for hour. Do you know that one?
No.
And they bring it up all the time. Like he was just at a festival and he's wearing like cargo shorts and he's got like a little pork pie hat on and he looks like a lot fatter, okay?
Yeah.
And he's holding 2 drinks and they like obviously is like all of his friends just like, oh my God. So it just became like, there's like a photo, there might be a photo out there of Mike Hale going as 2 drinks for hour for Halloween, you know? Like I'll find the 2 drinks for hour thing and share it. It's very funny because obviously when you see it, it's like just the most innocuous clip, but apparently it was like the start of like, I need to make some changes in my life, you know?
Yeah.
2 drinks per hour. So stupid. Oh yeah, here we go. I'll share this.
He used to he used to write for Vice.
Yes, he did, yeah. So did Michael Hale.
It's all about drinking.
Yeah.
Like literally everyone is like, welcome.
Is he called the beer nerd?
Guide to beer drinking.
Yeah. He used to be like a beer nerd. But yeah, this picture here of 2 drinks per hour.
He used to be a beer nerd. That's mad.
Yeah. Do you see it?
Yeah, it's a bit small. I can't figure out how to big it. Just zoom in on his.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah.
It's just so funny. Like, it's just such a bad photo, and he's just like,
yeah.
That maybe.
And now he has white glasses, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Have you seen the white glasses?
Yes, I have. Yeah. Did you ever? There was an amazing one where they like dunk on him on like a stream, and he seems to get genuinely upset. But like Stefan Heck says to him, he's trying to figure something out, and then there was somebody like Jesse coming home to his family after a hard day of Sonic. He got like, why are you guys dunking on me? Why are you guys dunking? He's just getting really like, pissed off. They're really funny, those guys. And I love like just how normal he is. Like he doesn't do like drugs or anything. They got him on for ayahuasca guys on the Guys podcast.
Yeah.
And the guys who are doing drugs where they're just like, I was thinking about doing catnip. Do you think that would be like poisonous for me? And then Jesse Farrar just like, I just will not understand this mindset. And then Brian Quimby like, yeah, when I was like huffing gasoline as a teenager, and you're just like, the thing about Brian Quimby and his friends, it's like he has like these like he just grew up as this like completely white trash guy in like Columbus, Ohio. and then like all of his friends are like clean-cut, goofy internet guys, and it's one of the funniest dynamics ever of just hearing like them just being constantly shocked by his behavior, because he's like, I used to hate the taste of beer, so I'd make myself Jello shots when I worked at the cable company, you know. And he's like they go like, you're like a weird guy, but like every single time there's always some different weird thing. So you would come home at the end of a day working for a cable company and just drink a bunch of Jello shots while watching TV. And he's like, yeah, pretty much. And like, I would. I like. Oh yeah, Brian Quimby was also at Woodstock '98, so they had him on an episode of Chapo to talk about it.
Woodstock '99.
Woodstock '99. Sorry, Zainab also corrected me in the room.
I don't know why the Jello shot thing is so funny.
There's another one that's really funny where he talks about how like his wife's always giving him a hard time. Oh, by the way, he walks like all over Columbus, Ohio. So he'd be walking like, he says he gets like, I can't remember how many miles he says he walks a day, but it's like an insane amount of walking. And he's like known around Columbus as this guy who just walks everywhere. Okay,
really?
Like people will recognize him from walking. Okay, and so, but he said like. He's on this podcast. I can't remember who was on the podcast with him, but Chris James was one of them. And he's like, my wife's always giving me a hard time for not like taking off my shoes, you know? And he's like, and lying on the bed. And he's like, well, you should take off your shoes if you're lying on the bed. And he's like, just like when I put my shoes on, I don't want to take them off until it's time to go to bed proper, you know? And he's like, so what? So you're saying that you walk like all over town, and at the end of the day, you take your disgusting shoes and lie down on the bed, and you think your wife is to blame for bringing the... and he's just like, look, and he's just like, he cannot explain this idea of like, it just makes sense to have your shoes on until you're going to bed, obviously.
Yeah.
And they're just like, what are you talking about? Just take off your fucking shoes. Put them back on if you want to go back outside.
Sort of on his side. If I'm honest, I don't like taking off and putting on shoes.
Yeah,
but maybe if I was married, I'd kowtow, you know.
Actually, I just was reminded of that guy who yelled at us yesterday because, like,
I hated that guy.
The weird rules that you have in your head, and like this guy. So we were in Cork City.
This asshole.
Yeah. He sat down next to us in a...
So we were... Yeah. First of all, it was the day after Garrett's birthday.
Yeah.
It was Garrett's birthday weekend.
Yeah. Woo.
And so he was fragile. The man was fragile.
Yeah.
And
but like
we went
Tony's
to,
Bistro.
Yeah.
On North Main Street. Great place. And they just do... It's like the only greasy spoon I've ever really encountered in Ireland, where like all of the items are just breakfast food and they're all numbers and named after like gangsters, you know?
Yeah.
Movie gangsters as well.
Yeah. So like, what did you get? You remember?
I got the number 6. I just did the number because I didn't want to, but I think I got Tony Montana.
Okay.
Brackets Scarface. And then the only one, they were Fat Tony, brackets, The Simpsons. You know, Don Corleone, brackets, The Godfather. And then it was like Frank Costello.
Yeah, no explanation.
No brackets.
Needed. And then I got the gluten-free one, and there was no, like, they should have done like Stephen Hawking or something, you know?
What was that? Oh, right. No, there was a vegetarian
the sickly one.
The funny thing about the vegetarian one is it's called Donnie Brasco, who was like an informant for the FBI. So, yeah.
What's a sickly gangster?
Meyer Lansky.
Yeah?
I don't know. That might be anti-Semitic, that I just presume that he's sickly. I'm only known it from Boardwalk
Tommy
Empire.
Huh? He's fucking sick in the head.
Yeah.
Tommy Cray.
I've seen Meyer Lansky. I'm looking him up. Who's the guy? Arnold Rothstein. Sorry, the guy who fixed the World Series.
What are the Cray twins called? That's who I meant to say.
Ronnie and something.
Isn't it mad how they were gay and they fucked each other?
Is that true?
Yeah.
Cray twins. I'm going to say Ronnie Cray. I think I only know that from a Blur song. Yeah, Ronnie and Reggie.
Yeah, they should have called it the Reggie breakfast.
I was going to say Arnold Rothstein because remember he was played in Boardwalk Empire by I think his name was Michael Stuhlbarg, but he always seemed like a really like sickly, weak gangster, and that's the show doing that. That's not me, because Rothstein, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had to wait outside because it was very popular on a bank holiday Sunday, and then we eventually got a table inside. And then James was like, "Do you want to sit outside?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." But at the tables outside, there was nobody really sitting there because nobody wanted to sit outside.
And then there was like a weird tattooed couple who were deeply in love.
Yeah, I know. He's just looking over at them like, "Wish that was me," you know?
Yeah.
Not me, obviously. You were doing that, okay?
Yeah, I was like, I wish that was my girlfriend with the, you know, tattoos of the skull on her face.
Yeah,
you know?
And then a big like. For some reason, salmon with poached eggs, which was very unusual.
Yeah, that was messed up. I would have dumped her on the spot.
Like you go to this place and it's like
hit the road, you freak.
I just just a hog meat or like fried bits of potato. That's basically all that's allowed.
A chicken shit.
Yeah,
an egg.
So we had like our breakfast.
That'd be funny if someone was like, "It's mad that we eat chicken shit, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Because they thought an egg was
I thought you meant chicken shit as in like just a bit of fried chicken, but yeah, I guess like, you know the way chickens like shit out like their kids and you're just like, what?
Yeah, like, we eat that? Yeah. So mad, like, it's only shit we eat. Like cow shit, that's so disgusting, but chicken shit is delicious.
My sister one time she was like, oh yeah, like have you ever tried like chicken milk? And I was like, chicken milk? And she was like, of course that doesn't exist, you idiot. But it was like just in that instant, the idea of like I could very easily visualize a chicken being milked for like a split second. You know?
Yeah. What would the milk look like? Would it be thick?
It would be like there wouldn't be that much of it, and it would be like kind of yellow. That's the way I see it. You know?
Yeah, yellow with like red streaks through it or something.
So like this, we were like having a whale of a time. It was all solving all the world's problems, okay, over a pot of tea, and then this guy came over and like I'll be honest, I thought that he was going to be asked to leave because I thought that he was like a homeless guy who was just coming in and sitting down, okay. And there would have been no... And I was like, in my head, I was going, that's how great Cork is, man. That's how great it's like this guy who's obviously like hard and a bit down and out, you know, that they just say, no, you can have your fry here, man. That's okay. Don't worry about it, okay? And I was looking at him. He sat there next to us outside and he was wearing like earphones and he was just like staring off at the queue.
Yeah, sports headphones.
Yeah.
As well. The ones that like wrap around your ear.
And then...
I don't think he was homeless, by the way.
I think he was homeless. Like that was the vibe I got.
Because he turned up with a homeless guy, and he looked so much fresher.
Well, I would argue that if he showed up with the homeless guy, that probably indicates that he might also be homeless, or at least like hard, you know, on a hard times. That's the vibe I got off of him anyway.
No, I think he's just one of those guys who talks to everybody.
Yeah, because like people were waiting and he just was like, at one point he gave him a thumbs up. Did you see that? And he was like, yeah, it's worth the wait, man. It's worth the wait, you know?
Yeah. And he was really concerned about the queue.
Yeah.
He did signpost that.
Yeah. And he kept looking at me and I thought like, you know, oh, he's just like a kind of weirdo. That was the kind of thing that I got off of him, that he's like somebody who might have lived, you know, a bit rough for a while and kind of been a bit frayed around the edges. That's what I got off of him, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, at one point then, we were like in mid-conversation and then he just starts talking to us and I was like, I'm just like so at this moment like in love with Cork. I was like, this is going to be one of those crazy Cork stories for some guy like opens up and starts having a conversation next to you. And then he was going, listen lads, there are people waiting to get inside, okay? There's a line of people. This isn't a fucking cafe. This is a restaurant. So fuck off, get the fuck out of here. And he starts like screaming. And I was like, and then we just like returned to our conversation and we were trying to pretend like nothing had happened. And then eventually I was like, no, actually, like, I'm not going to pretend nothing happened. I was like, was there any need for that, man? Was there any need for like what you just did? Do you know? And he's going like, I can't really remember what he was saying because I was like, I don't like confrontation, so I got like pure rattled at that point.
He kept being like, you're starting to annoy me now. You're starting to annoy me.
Yeah.
You're going to annoy me. And then you were like, clearly we're already annoying you.
Yeah. And I was like, he's like, this is a fucking cafe, and this is a fucking restaurant. And I was like, it's a cafe, man. Like, I mean, and then at that point I was like, well, what's the difference? Like, you pay for like a bit of food and you sit down and you have a chat. It's not like, you know, it's not like you go in and you pay for the food and then you eat it and it's like, right, get the fuck out of here, man. Do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, don't like, if you might as well just do it at home if that was the case. Do you know?
Yeah.
Like,
that's
I don't really understand.
Extra.
Yeah, like you pay because you're like, oh, I'm sitting here and I'm talking with my friend or I'm meeting somebody. And I was like, in fact, you're the weirdo because you're sitting there by yourself, staring off, like eating your food. Okay.
Yeah.
Like everybody here is waiting to get in and hang out with their friend. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, they clearly didn't really want to sit outside. They all want to go inside as well.
Because we're like empty tables outside.
Yeah. But he's like, you're really going to annoy me now. You're really going to annoy me. And it was like, he was kind of saying like, do you really want to annoy me? Like we could get into a fight. Like kind of, he didn't say he wanted to fight me, but it was clear that that was the next step of it, you know?
Yeah.
And I was in one of the rare instances, I was like, I actually think I could take this guy, you know? And I don't think that about anybody. I just felt like my anger at this guy was so righteous because I felt so justified. I was like, narratively, I'm going to pummel this man if things come to it. But also I was like, I also don't want to do that. And also I'm like, what am I even doing here? Like, clearly he's just broken a good time and I don't need to hang around here anymore. And I was like, fine, I'm fucking leaving. And then James was like, we're not leaving. We're not leaving. Yeah. It's like, I'm sitting here and finishing my tea. And then you started like drinking your tea. And then like, we're just like, you know, like stay here for 5 minutes so as not to give him the satisfaction.
Yeah.
Which we successfully did. But at one point he tried to like talk to us again. And then you were just like, just enjoy your dinner. Just sit, just like fuck off. Just leave us alone. Okay. Yeah. That's it. The damage is done. So fuck off. And then he just like, for some reason, he seemed a bit more contrite after this. Oh, yeah, because I got up and I was leaving. And then you were like, no, don't leave. I was like, I'll go and pay. And you're like, don't pay. It's your birthday. And I think you heard that and was just like, oh, fuck, you know?
Yeah.
And then, so he started to be a little, like, softer after that. He wasn't going to apologize, you know?
No.
But, like,
not.
And so then, we got up and left and, you know, made a big stink of it as well and left. But either way, I was just saying like, there was no point where he just was like, it was just comparable to the thing we were talking about. It was in getting annoyed over something that's very much in your own head about rules that you've made up yourself about how this is a restaurant. You don't chat in a restaurant.
Yeah,
and you just go like, well, you do, obviously, do you know? Like we have pots of tea. That's what you do. But like clearly he's there in his head just getting angrier and angrier and like, you know what? Fuck this. And then just going like, fuck you. And then like, you know, it was just like, if he had tried to explain the logic calmly, I might have been like, oh, okay. Well, you know, we're nearly done here, so we'll just leave, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you would have been annoyed, but you would have been like, all right, whatever, you know? I don't need to be. But it was because he came so hot about it, you know? But yeah, anyway. Weird things that people have in their head of the way the world should be and the strange ways.
Story about how we beat a homeless man by our own logic.
We dominated him mentally and culturally. Although, you know, it's one of those incidents where you leave and you suddenly go, somebody screamed at you in public and you were surrounded by a bunch of people and not one of them stepped in to go like, why are you yelling at him? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, what was this for? Do you know?
I know. I had a moment like that where I was trying to buy a vape.
Yeah.
And they're all different. A lot of the names are very similar, right?
Yeah.
So I was trying to buy one that was like blue raspberry flavor.
Yeah.
And Anyway, the guy behind the counter couldn't find it. He kept bringing me different ones.
Yeah.
And they weren't the flavour. And I just went, oh shit, they're all the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I was trying to be like, it actually doesn't matter, I'll just take whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the way it read was like, oh, I guess they're all the same. I think because the guy behind me, like I was sort of being snarky, like
yeah. Oh, so they're all the same to you, are they?
Yeah. Because then the guy behind me leant over. I was like, man, they're called different things, and he was like pointing out the differences, like defending the guy behind the counter.
Where was this?
It was just in a text code, circle K. And then I was like, no, I was like, shit, they're all the same.
Yeah.
And I just kept saying, my brain just misfired, and I just kept saying that.
I was on a dart one time, and this woman came over and was asking me for money, and then I was just like, no, I don't have anything.
Fuck off.
I don't know. I was coming back from a Halloween party, and I think it was like 2014 or something like that. So it was a long time ago now.
What were you dressed as?
I didn't go as a costume because I thought it was cooler than that. So I put on when I got to the party, I just put on like some lame ass face paint and tried to look like a videotape. I'm stupid. It was like white, like whole, patches around my eyes and a big black square.
What the white eyes, black,
like the back of a videotape.
Paint.
With the reels.
Yeah. Sounds like you went as like a minstrel.
Yeah, it's got there's only one photograph of that, so wait, what did you go as? Oh, a videotape. Because I don't really see videotape, just somebody.
Yeah.
I'm running for public office, and then it's like I have to be like Trudeau. It's like I don't know if there's any other times where I'm not just there might be other videotape photos out there, we don't know. But anyway, I was like, I was kind of hungover, and I was like, wiped the face paint off, and I was like on the thing, and she was like, man, you okay? Are you all right? And I was like, I am. I just, I'm not in the mood, so just leave me alone,
Yeah.
And then she goes, man, don't keep it in. Let it out, man. Let it out, And I was like, honestly, like I just kind of want to go home, and and then I could feel her reaching into my pocket to take money out of it. She was like physically reaching into my pocket, and I was like, what are you doing? And then she got up and she started screaming at me, and she started going like, you think I'm a fucking joke? I'll stab you in the neck with a fucking pen, you fucking prick, and just like screaming at me. And I like just remember looking around at the dart, and everybody was there staring straight ahead as if nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And then she left. But I was like, this woman's saying that she's going to stab me in the neck with a pen, and nobody cares.
Do you remember that guy and he got his head cut off on a bus?
No.
By another guy.
And
I don't know when. No one did anything.
To stop it, or once it had happened, like he's just fucking bleeding everywhere. And
like they heard it happen. Like, just one guy turned around to another guy and started cutting his head off. And no one did anything.
Yeah.
Isn't that mad? It's true as well.
Actually, I know that you mentioned it. There was another time where I was on a bus, and then this guy, he thought that I was being giving him cheek.
Circumcised.
Because he like kicked the back of my seat, and then I looked around, and then I looked back, and he was like, what the fuck are you looking at? And so what he did is he cut his arm and then put it around my neck, okay? Jesus. And he holding me, and he was like, what fucking stop are you getting off at? What fucking stop are you getting off at? And I was like, Parkmore. And then he just goes, yeah, I'm getting off at fucking Merview, but I'm staying on an extra stop, and I'm cutting off. I'm going to fucking kick your ass, man. I'm going to fucking beat the shit out of you. And he's saying this, and like, again, packed bus, nobody doing anything, okay? Except this like Pakistani guy was sitting up ahead, and he started he saw me, and he was like very concerned, but he didn't know what he could do,
Yeah.
Like he was looking at me with like kind of an urgency. But anyway, just the very act of him looking and him being a person of color meant that the guy immediately, his attention was like, what the fuck are you looking at? And he got up and went over and started hassling this guy
him.
instead.
You were like, yeah, what the
fuck? I was like, whoo. And then I think he eventually got it. Like, but like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I could have done something, but I didn't.
Yeah, you also didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything, so I don't know. Maybe I'm to blame too. But like, I think he kind of like, this guy somehow managed to diffuse the situation better than I can. Because sometimes you're like, if I get involved, this is going to make it worse. No, it won't. It won't make it worse. It would have been nice if somebody got involved when it happened to me, and it would have also been nice if I had gotten involved when it had happened to this guy. But,
yeah.
So I was fucking 20 years old. So
yeah.
Now for you.
There's one time where it was talking about the news after this, but
yeah.
I was on the Coombe Road.
Yeah.
And I was just parking my car, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I saw this like really big guy, and he was like having this argument with a woman.
Yeah.
And she was like storming off, and he grabbed her.
Oh shit.
Really roughly.
Yeah.
So I got out of the car, and I was just like, this guy is so big. And then I just like laid on the horn. Yeah. And I was like, just praying he didn't come over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I was like, you fuck off, you leave her alone. And then he looks at me, and I'm just like, oh shit. And I just keep laying on the horn.
Yeah.
Just hoping that like other people come, you know?
Yeah.
But luckily he was just like, sorry, I didn't mean it. And I was like, I don't care, get lost. And he like, luckily he apologized. Which I feel, that's unusual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's unusual for the guy at 1 o'clock in the morning harassing women to be like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was about this. I have to tell you this one. And this like could be the last one, but maybe it'll inspire another story. But I was like walking home in Galway with my friend Martin, and we were walking through the hospital because it was like a shortcut to his house. All right, and there was this kind of like very stocky fella, you know, with a buzz cut walking in front of us, and we would have been like 18 or thereabouts, and we would have been like super, you know, fucking scruffy, you know, skater looking people. I was never a skater, but that was the vibe anyway. We were like two different you know, worlds basically. All right. And then this woman could be heard screaming straight ahead. She was like, ah, and then he like turned around and he was like, lads, if shit kicks off right now, can I count on you? And we were like, yeah. And then he just took off running in the direction of the scream. And then we were like, oh, fuck. So we started running after him. We were just also like yourself, just like, please don't let this be anything, you know? And then like we arrived at the scene, and the woman was like still screaming, yelling at this guy, okay? And but like the other guy who had, you know, called to action, he was like, it's okay, I know them. And I was like, all right, we get to just go home. I guess it's okay that this woman is potentially being assaulted now. She wasn't being assaulted. I want that on the record. She was just having an argument with her partner that sounded like something horrible at that moment in the middle of the night. She was completely in control of the situation, and this guy was a very, like, the peacemaker in it. So, you know, that's like...
Okay.
But I just found that funny, where it was like, you know, like, I some people have it in them, just that immediate instinct. But my dad, like, he's always was like, if anything happens, just walk away. He's like, anybody, because he's like, you know, he's a lawyer, so like he's saying anytime that you know, one guy just steps in between somebody at a fight at a chipper, one hit, and then he's fucking dead over nothing, some bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
So he was always like, be an absolute coward, because like no one's gonna thank you for being a fucking hero with your like teeth knocked out, you know?
Yeah.
And anyway, that's my instinct. I'm a little bitch, you know? What can I tell you? I wish I was different.
Yeah, you should take up like MMA or something.
I should take up Krav Maga. And speaking of, you know, you know what I mean? That's what I should do. If I want to feel like a man, I should go over to the occupied territories and put a 5-year-old in a headlock, or I can just press a button and level a fucking hospital. And that makes me that gives me a real fucking hard on, honestly, the thought of that.
But the funny thing about Krav Maga, so it's the Israeli, the IDF martial art, is that it's like, it's all about like biting and like pulling hair and stuff. Like it's just the least noble form of combat. It's like, nothing where it's like, oh yeah, they're just like, yeah, just grab the guy's dick and like try to pull it off.
I love that they've like, like I've cracked the code. What about like my fighting style relies on me just like being a wild animal tearing at any fucking bare skin that I can see, in the most undignified way possible.
Yeah. There's an episode of King of the Hill where like Bobby keeps winning fights.
Yeah.
And then Hank's really proud.
Yeah.
And then it just turns out like Bobby's been like kicking them in the dick the whole time.
That's my purse. I don't know you.
Give me your purse now.
That's my purse. Don't be afraid to shout it. That's my purse! Try it again. That's my purse! I don't know you!
And then Hank has to be like, that's not proper fighting.
Yeah, you don't do that. And then, that was a funny. I love that episode. And also, like, I get really sad that Brittany Murphy died. Like, just one of those weird celebrities where I'm like, God, she was so...
Brittany Murphy.
She's the one who she did a number of voices in King of the Hill, including Luann.
Luann was really good.
Luann is so funny that it's like, Luann, your trailer... Do you know that clip? I'm gonna drop it in here and try and half remember it, explaining it to you. But like, where he's like, I was like, you said that your trailer was gone. And he's like, but it just tipped over. And she's like, I don't have a trailer anymore. He's like, Luann. And he takes his beer can. I have a beer can. And then he tips it over. Do I still have a beer can? And she goes, he's like, I can't live in a beer can, but I can't live in a trailer. But I don't have a trailer because the trailer tipped over. And she's like running away crying. And he's like, well, I hope you're happy, Hank Hill. He's just...
Luann, why are you living here?
Because I have nowhere else to go.
Well, a man came by from Shiny Pines Trailer Park today, and he says you've still got a trailer there.
No, I don't. It tipped over.
But it's still there.
No, it tipped over.
Luann, let me try to explain. I have a beer can. I tip it over. Now, is it still there?
I can't live in a beer can. I can live in a trailer, but I don't have a trailer because the trailer tipped over.
She's just so funny, Oh, God. But yeah, Krav Maga. I don't know anything about it.
Now to talk about the news.
Now to talk about the news of the day, okay?
35 minutes in.
It's not 35, is it? Let me take a look. That's disgusting. Okay. So there's more Amy Schumer stuff.
Yeah, let's get an Amy Schumer update.
An Amy Schumer update. So this woman who is called
Amy Schumer, female Jewish comedian.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen this, but like Sarah Silverman and like a bunch of these people have been sharing articles about how like we actually feel unsafe in America at the moment, given the rise of anti-Semitism that we're seeing, aka Palestinian marches of support and solidarity. Yeah. They're just like, this is making us feel very unsafe right now. And then can I just be real with you? Like Amy Schumer, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed lady, and she's like walking. She's like, I actually feel incredibly unsafe. Like I'm going to be the target of anti-Semitic attacks. And you're just like, no, like, what are you talking about? Like, she's Jewish. Yeah. But anyway, so this woman called Asia Jackson, whose Twitter bio refers to her as actor, etc., creator of Mag and Ang Morin X. I don't know what it is. Okay. Do you know this? Look her up. She's black and indigenous Filipino. Just like the idea is that she's basically just some random. Okay. And she just posts.
What?
Huh?
What did you say? She's black.
That's a black and indigenous Filipino.
What's her name?
Asia Jackson.
What's indigenous Filipino?
Means that you're just born and raised in the Philippines, I guess.
Subscribe to my channel.
Yeah, but like you're getting the vibe off of that. You know what it is? It's like just kind of like, I don't know, like a kind of rights influencer, let's say. Do you know, it's like people that would have been coming in the popularity around Black Lives Matter, where it's like, you know, they go on social media and talk about issues and shit, and they're kind of, but they have a very kind of personal brand that they're promoting. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying that that's what she is. She's just like, maybe she's how many people does she have following her on YouTube? Let me see. At least that's a vibe I'm getting off her. People can correct me. She has 618,000 subscribers on her YouTube. And her videos include 5 things to avoid if you have narrow hips. We're back. It's Girl Diaries. With the Dyson Air Straight work on curly hair. Will the Dyson Air Straight work on curly hair? Dyson Air Straight review. Okay.
Right. So she's an influencer.
That's the type of shit she does. Okay.
Apolitical.
So what she says things politically, obviously, because, you know, she's a black and indigenous Filipino, and she clearly this is a tweet she put out on October 27th. It's so crazy to me how Bella and Gigi that's Bella and Gigi Hadid, I'm presuming, yeah?
Yeah.
Had to tiptoe around their statements, and then Amy Schumer is like, Gazans are rapists and will still have a career, okay? So, on Instagram...
They're Palestinian, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so. But anyway, Amy Schumer then messaged her on Instagram, okay?
Yeah.
And she said, did something I posted about my people being massacred upset you? And it says, do you want to accept this message request from Amy Schumer? So Amy Schumer's not even following her. Okay,
yeah.
She's like...
I just find that she's not following Amy Schumer as well.
Yeah, exactly. But Amy Schumer saw this and was like, I need to get up in this lady's face, okay?
Yeah.
And so Aisha Jackson responds, the Islamophobia and generalization of Gazan people offended me, you know?
What does Amy Schumer say?
Amy Schumer responds with, really sorry about that, okay? And then you think, okay, well, I guess that's the end of it. Next messages. People all over the world are in the streets yelling for the murder of my people. You are not educated about the history of Jewish people and of the conflict. Thanks for expressing what you're upset about. I'd like to express that I think you are anti-Semitic. Do you have any Jewish friends? If you do, they are all scared right now, frightened for their children, for their lives. Is there a good Wendy clip for that? Also, that story about that person thinking you were so young. That's so funny how you must have been so annoyed they thought you looked so young. What a cool video to post while I'm hoping someone doesn't slit my son's throat at school, like they've been threatening to do, and posting pictures of my house. But I deserve that, right? One day when you realize how you acted in this moment, I will accept your apology. All the best. And when you use this exchange to try and raise your profile and get shine, you are showing yourself. And so then she responds, very curious to hear how you know that I'm not educated about the history of the conflict. How do you know that? You literally just followed me. You don't know who I am. How is it anti-Semitic to call you out for all the racist things you've said since 2015? And I think there doesn't seem to be any more photos of the conversation. But like this lady's like, I literally am an actress working in Hollywood. People in our industry have been fired for saying way less than I have. How absolutely delusional do you have to be to think I'm putting my entire career on the line for shine?
Yeah, it's so mad the way... Like, it's one thing to be like, it's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel, you know, like, whatever. But the people who think it's like everybody is pro-Palestine and Israel, like, Jewish people are being completely targeted by society at large. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Amy Schumer gets anti-Semitic abuse.
Yeah.
But it's not like the government are, you know, anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean? It's like, there's no way you can exist in reality and think that, like, Palestine gets more support from everybody than Israel.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Or like the idea is in like my children are in clear and present danger in their private school that I, you know, like I don't know what you're talking about. How do you think that you are like somebody with money, presumably. Like nobody has access to you that you don't want to have access to you, and you're acting like that. And also like I don't know, like particularly offensive when you think about that 9-year-old who was literally stabbed to death just because he was Muslim in Chicago. Did you heard that one? Yeah. Well, how old was he? He was 6. Sorry.
Right.
His landlord stabbed him 29 times because. And he stabbed his mother as well, but the mother managed to survive. But anyway, it's really crazy.
Yeah, like in France, they've made like pro-Palestinian marches illegal.
Yes, yeah.
I know that's France, not America, but it sort of speaks to the like Western opinion on these sort of things.
Yeah,
like someone made the point that it was like, there've been like massive riots destroying the city. Because over like the age of retirement.
Yeah.
And in France, it's like, well, that's the French spirit, it's like
the
spirit of the revolution, the spirit of the republic. And then it's like, there's a few marches about supporting Palestine. And it's like, that's illegal. We're going to be arresting you now for the peaceful march you did,
Yeah, and like a lot of people have made a thing about the numbers, like that apparently like the amount of people that marched in London versus the amount of arrests, and then those are just arrests. Those don't necessarily even mean that anybody did anything. That's what you need to figure out, like whether the action can be brought against them. It's like just a tiny minority within a minority, and then I also think a lot of the things about trying to condemn Hamas and stuff. It's like.
That's also messed up. The way they're always like, do you condemn Hamas? Do you condemn Hamas?
Yeah. Nobody asked back, do you condemn Israel? Do you condemn any of the shit that they're doing? But like, I don't know anything. I don't really give a shit about like Hamas. I don't plan on. I mean, I could do some research. I haven't. I don't care.
Like, why would you condemn Hamas? Do
you
know what I mean? Like, we were talking about this yesterday before you were rudely interrupted at breakfast. It's like you're in a country that's been occupied by another army. You know what I mean? And like you've been bombarded every day. Like you're at war, and Hamas are your military force. You know what I mean? Why would you condemn them?
Yeah.
You could be like, I don't agree with some of the stuff they do.
Yeah. Why is that always the go-to thing? It's like that's the first thing you have to answer before we decide to take your opinion seriously. And it's like, fuck this, man. This is
like,
crazy.
You don't need to condemn them.
Yeah. I'm trying to find this other one that was interesting in an Irish context.
Was it the Ardèche?
Yeah, actually, that's a good place to... Well, yeah, because that kind of feeds into the whole thing. But there's been a call... Because we were talking last week in the second half of the show, which you can get if you go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers and pay just €5 a month.
€5 a month.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of just, again, I'm just going to keep saying vibes forever until it gets old, but a vibes-based podcast where you're just like, Sinn Féin have been pretty reticent to criticize Israel. In the past, they've been more outspoken about it, but in this instance, they've been noticeably sort of cagey.
They've been pretty fucking quiet.
Yeah.
Recently...
Yes, exactly.
They called for the expulsion of the Israeli ambassador.
Yeah.
And I think Micheál Martin called them populist.
Yes.
And in fairness to Micheál Martin, I think that is a populist move. Is it like, Sinn Féin don't give a fuck? Do you know what
basically, I mean? Yeah. Like, the thing about it, like, so I was trying to think about it, like, what's the argument against, for keeping the ambassador? So the idea is that, like, okay, well, if you believe in peace, and I guess ambassadors are meant to be like representatives, and where there needs to be talks and open channels of dialogue between people, that's maybe the argument you could make. But then it completely flies in the face of when they were like, let's get rid of the Russian ambassador immediately, expel that fucker. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not like, even if you want to argue that case on its own merits, fine, but like in this case, it's more just critical of consistency, where it's like, well, hang on, we need to keep, talks open, and we can't be doing actions that are hostile and stuff like this. And I was like, yeah, well, you were perfectly willing to make the gesture when it was Russia or something that was more socially acceptable.
I know. And like PvP have been calling for the expulsion for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
So like they're being genuine about the whole thing. Whereas it feels like Sinn Féin, I'm honest, I think Sinn Féin were caught in a thing where it's like, they don't want to criticize Israel because that would upset like
American
donors and stuff like that.
Yeah, you said that, and I was kind of like, every time I hear like American donors, it feels like, and I'm not saying you're doing this, I kind of immediately bristled because I thought it was like almost like a dog whistle where it's like they're still around, that type of, the Americans are still paying. But like, yeah, the more I've kind of been reading about it, it does seem to be the consensus. I mean, I argued before that there's just some sort of generic neoliberal costume that you have to wear if you're serious about being in government, and that's the reason for doing it. But yes, I am kind of coming to the realization that maybe that is a factor in it, the American support, which is so bizarre to me,
Yeah, like it's not the soul thing. It's also like they want to seem like they are just as normal as Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. You know what I mean?
Well, here's what I wonder. November 2nd, Mary Lou McDonald tweets out, "People of the world are with #Palestine." I hate when people use hashtags in such an arbitrary way. It's people of the world are with #Palestine. People of the world demand #ceasefire now. People of the world want human rights, justice, inclusive dialogue and peace. The people of the world know that freedom is a birthright, with one united voice saying, end the slaughter now. So then this absolute random, who doesn't have a profile picture, it's just like a purple circle with the white J in it, because his first name is James. So it's James McGowan, okay? James McGowan 15. It looks like his account could have been created yesterday. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not like just some guy. And so he just tweets, "Why don't you stop equivocation and publish your reasoning behind abstaining on Israeli ambassador expulsion votes?" Sorry, the way he wrote this is there's no punctuation, so it's hard to read. "Many Sinn Féin voters, including myself, uncomfortable with this policy, so Sinn Féin must give a clear statement as to the reasoning behind why is Sinn Féin ducking questioning on this." So, does Mary Lou have to respond to this? No. Does she? She does. So she goes, "There's no equivocation. Sinn Féin's solidarity with Palestine is long-standing and rock solid. The absolute urgent priority now, an overwhelming political call now, is #ceasefire now. That's the united, shared political call echoing across the world. The question of sanctions will follow." So Emma Hendrick then responds, "Why do sanctions have to follow? Why can't both be called for? When have Sinn Féin ever towed the line of international call? Why can't Sinn Féin lead on this? You've led before. What's changed? Why have you stepped away from your position to expel Israeli ambassador? Shameful." Mary Lou responds with, "We will continue to lead. Ireland's position is well in advance of others. The overwhelming call by international friends of Palestine is #ceasefire now. International solidarity on this is strong and growing. That is powerful. We need to amplify that. Sanctions calls will follow." Like, just turning into Keir Starmer in front of our fucking eyes. That type of like, just like, "I've been clear on this. I've been clear in the past. I'm clear now. The sanctions will follow. And Israel has the right to defend itself, but Israel does not have the right to." That type of shit where it's just like, where they start off, "Look, we've been clear on this." That's, anyway, whatever. Just that kind of robotic repetition, that type of like, "Yeah, no, we'll do that later. Yeah, no, we'll do that later. Yeah, no, we'll do that later." And then one other one here from Mark Ward, Sinn Féin TD for Dublin Midwest, okay? And this one is funny insofar as it isn't that type of robotic voice. It's like getting aggro about it. You'll see now in a sec. This one's so funny, though. It goes, "When bombs are falling on a Palestinian mother and her children, do you think that they're saying, 'Oh, I hope Ireland expel the Israeli ambassador'?"
Yes, I saw this.
They are not.
So funny.
They want the bombs to stop now. And also he said this. He spelt this wrong. He clearly just getting fucking steamed. Not drunk, just angry. But he goes, "They want a ceasefire now. It's a time for unity. Everything else is a distraction. #ceasefire now." And it's like one of the stupidest things ever, where it's like,
Yeah. And his handle is Ward 1916.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's like pretty happy to invoke 1916 civil rights movement, you know,
freedom fighters, resistance, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
and then he's like, so what good would helping Palestine do anyway?
Yeah. Like, yeah, but I mean, if that was your goal, of being like, we need to help Palestine, we need to stop it tomorrow, it's like, yeah, like this is a tool in your arsenal to do that.
Yeah.
And then they spent all this time just getting obstinate about it and being like, oh, don't worry, there'll be a more concrete response. And you're like, why do we have to wait for this concrete response?
Because it's
then
incredibly urgent. You know what I mean? It's not like this. It's not just like a trade war or something.
Yeah.
It's like an act of genocide. So if you're like, oh, we'll do this first and then we'll do some more stuff later. It's like, so many people are going to get killed.
Yeah.
Before
and then,
you do the second thing.
The other thing that I was listening to the Week at Work podcast, and Dave Gibney is one of the hosts, and he said he was at like a town hall there was something anyway in Derry, okay?
Yeah.
And he said that PVP went up and made a statement about, you know, we need to expel the Israeli ambassador, we need to do this, that, and the other. And then someone from Sinn Féin went up, and they couldn't even speak because they just got booed out of the place.
Really?
And then, like, shortly after that, then they called for expelling the Israeli ambassador. But I also want to point out to, let me look up Sinn Féin, because their press release for this was like, if the internet will fucking work.
I think they should execute the Israeli ambassador.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think the other thing that's funny about it is, like, do you remember when we talked about that the other day about, or in the previous episode, where the Israeli ambassador's office, not the Israeli ambassador herself, but one of the people within, like a high-ranking official within the Israeli embassy in Ireland, said that Ireland was directly funding Hamas to build these tunnels.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I just don't know, like, there's obviously the moral reason that, oh, we should just do it anyway. But, like, what more justification do you need than these people just saying, you're funding this, you're funding terrorism?
I know.
You know?
Because you see the other guy who was like, Palestinians should move to the desert or to Ireland.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
So, like, they're obviously just like, Ireland are so, I don't know. They're just like,
they're clearly, quite rattled by it, you know?
Yeah, they're rattled, but they also understand that, like, Ireland are on Palestine's side.
Yeah.
Or at least the Irish sentiment is, not the government. And they're trying to, like, villainize that sort of behavior. You know what I mean?
But it's also like, yeah, but it's like the thing that they've done before, you know, where it'll be like, I don't know, some fucking students' union in a Cornish university hung up a Palestinian flag, and then they have like a team of people to look at any indiscretion and be like, these people need to be reprimanded, this woman needs to be suspended, you know? Yeah. But it's like a use of that, except for the international, or where everybody is just hedging their bets, just going, well, you know, Israel has the right to defend itself, and, you know, we expect the response to be proportionate, and we're in talks and we're in negotiations. And then you have somebody like fucking Vradker of all people just being like, just most, like, it's very, you know, it basically should be the response from anybody, which is that, like, oh, they actually shouldn't be bombing a hospital, you know? That's literally all he's saying, isn't, like, they really like shouldn't be doing that. And then they're like, Ireland is evil. And, like, the other context of that quote, that guy was saying, like, that the Arabs should either leave for the deserts or for Ireland. But he was also saying that they should just drop a nuke on Palestine and get the fucking thing over with.
Yeah. Who was that guy?
I can't remember, but anyway, it was a rare moment where the Israelis were like, okay, that guy's actually been suspended. He has to go into the timeout corner for saying we should drop a nuke, you know. But the other thing about it, the thing, their statement, Sinn Féin's statement about expelling the ambassador, it goes, November 3rd, 2023, announced on the Sinn Féin website, the headline reads, Irish government must use all diplomatic and political options to achieve ceasefire, Mary Lou McDonald. And then you go down and down and down and down, then bank right in the middle, it says, including, you know, getting rid of the ambassador. So they're not even advertising it. They're already, like, they're even still, like, in that way of, like, yeah. I mean, at least they use the word ceasefire as opposed to fucking humanitarian pause. But Jesus Christ, you know?
It was the heritage minister.
Yeah.
Amakai Eliyahu.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a bit of a yahoo.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Sorry about that.
No. Don't be.
I stepped on it. Stepped on your line. But yeah, so they buried within the middle of this press release, they have, and the Israeli ambassador should be expelled, you know? And yet still, Micheál Martin came out and said, like, it's actually very dangerous what they're saying. Do you know, let me try and find the exact quote. Gavin Riley tweets November 4th. Hey, that's my birthday. Taoiseach, that's Micheál Martin, also notes
Micheál
McFartin. So he's being interviewed. Coalition with Sinn Féin clearly can't be ruled out, says Taoiseach Fianna Fáil Ardèche, before adding that he doesn't think their policy platforms are compatible. What? Policy platforms? Yeah. And then complaining that it's the only question he's ever asked. And then just one of the apparent closure of the Rafah. Yeah, and then he on Gaza. Yeah, disappointment at the apparent closure of the Rafah crossing, given about 35 to 40 Irish citizens remain in Gaza. Another thing we have to talk about, that's insane. Non-committal about whether there is any truth to Israeli claims of an Irish citizen being among Hamas hostages. And then he finishes, Taoiseach also notes that Sinn Féin's call for the de facto removal of Israel's ambassador was in a press statement with the headline that Ireland must use all diplomatic and political means to pursue ceasefire, and says withdrawal of ambassadors is not compatible with this. So even he's just singles it out. He goes, oh yeah, but you said to expel the ambassador, and actually that's not really compatible with the what are you talking about?
Yeah,
it's just really trying to be to say that.
Yeah, it's like they don't even want to do that.
Yeah,
so just ignore it. They're not going to do it.
So they just say okay, so he's asked about Gaza, and then he's like, yeah, the Israelis are now being pure petty and saying, no, Irish people can't leave an area we're actively bombing. And then he goes, but did you know Sinn Féin, they have this crazy idea that we should expel the Israeli ambassador. And it's like, well, how are the... And he's like, that's incompatible with the ceasefire. How is Israel saying you Irish citizens can't leave this active war zone compatible with having an ambassador? It doesn't
exactly.
It doesn't imply
that's it. The ambassador's not talking to us. It's whenever you hear any Israeli ambassador or any members, they're not interested in dialogue.
No,
they're just interested in screaming.
Yeah.
So there are Irish people over there, but it's not you can talk to the Israeli ambassador to be how do we figure this out?
Yeah,
because they're not actually going to do that.
Yeah,
you might as well fuck them out of the country.
Yeah,
you know
I guess just invite them to your Ardèche though, so they can sit there and soak it all in.
Trailer.
Now there you go.
Yeah.
See you on the other side.
Yeah. All right, back in a few minutes.
To hear the full episode, go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers.